Well, hello, I'm Demi. Welcome to my brand new YouTube channel. Something I've been wanting to do for a minute now, and I've only just finally gotten around to it. Figured since this is my first video, I should probably start off with a little bit of introduction, give you an idea of what you can expect to see from me. Well, hopefully if you stay. So this is going to be a fitness channel for me. Fitness is something I'm really passionate about. I kind of discovered it. Well, we'll go into discussion more about how I discovered it so you can learn a bit more about me. But it's my number one thing to do right now, especially in a pandemic when there's so few things to do. It's actually been keeping me insane. It's ridiculous. But yeah, so this channel, I'm setting it up. Hopefully it'll help keep me motivated to keep going and not get too lazy, although you should be, this is a time to actually be really easy on yourself when it comes to stuff like that, because I mean, going through every day is hard enough these days, isn't it? So fitness, like I said, is something that's big for me. I kind of started into it a little bit in my mid-teens, I'd say. So when I was about 14-ish, I was a little chubby, didn't really love it. Loved the comments I got even less. Although looking back at it now, my reaction to it would have been a lot different. But when you're that age, everything is a little bit touchy. Things like that can get to you. So I want to do whatever I could to lose weight. So I started to do those little exercises you would find online. Well, what was online back then. And I do them. I remember I do them in my room. I try my best. I put myself on a diet that wasn't really much, but I lost a couple of pounds. Oh, as I'm going through the story, I try to put in pictures from when I can find. Unfortunately, through a lot of this, there was a lot of times where I just wasn't taking pictures because I genuinely just didn't feel my best. But whatever I can find, there will be pictures somewhere. So as I was doing that, I kind of lost a couple of pounds, maybe 3 or 4 kilos, which would be about 8 pounds ish. And then I finished secondary school in Nigeria, and then I moved to Bath in England for sixth form, and that's really when it kicked into high gear, because the sixth form I went to had a gym that you could go to on the property for free, because I was in boarding house, so you could just hit up the gym, and it wasn't anything too fancy. It had a studio in one part, and then the second part had kind of a few cardio machines, so treadmills and cycling and a Stairmaster, I think, if I remember correctly. Jesus, it's a decade ago now, yikes. But so that's kind of where I got into it. I would go in there once a week, get on the treadmill, do some walking, plus also when I moved to Bath, it was less of the Nigerian thing of having people drive you around everywhere. You kind of had to get around on your own, so I was doing a whole lot more walking, and then I got really skinny. I went down to a really low UK4. I think I do have pictures from then. I should do, but I'll put them in if I can find them. But I was skinny, and I also didn't love that because I missed having a little curve. Yeah, once I got to the other side, I was kind of oh, I want to be curvy now. That kind of weird thing you can kind of go back and forth through. But I kept with that. I finished sixth form, went to uni in Leicester. Through my days in uni in Leicester, the first year, I kind of fell off working out at all, because what first year in uni is you go a bit mental, or mental for me anyway, because it's a real taste of freedom, really properly living as an adult, but you're 18, so you go a bit mad. So I was more focused on socializing than I was on working out or anything, but I still stayed really like small. And then kind of in the second year of uni, when I was about 20, I kind of figured, oh, I should do something about fitness, because I was noticing that, yeah, I was skinny, but I couldn't get up a flight of stairs without dying. So I joined the uni gym, which wasn't that far from where I lived. It was like a 5-minute walk from where I lived. And I started doing like Pilates classes, and I do a couple yoga classes, and I used the treadmill. I was too scared to ever go into the weight section at that point. And I I remember the first time I went up to the weight section, there was like a whole bunch of people there who looked like they really know what they were doing. And I went on and I just sat on the like abduction machine, a leg abduction machine, and I did like 10 of them once, and then I left. I never went back because it was just so intimidating. So I then figured, what can I do? Because walking on the treadmill is a bit boring, walking in the same spot for however long, just staring at the wall. After a while, got really old. So I had this bright idea. I woke up one day, I was like, oh, I'm just going to go into a park and run, because, that's how it happens. You just wake up and go running. And I got into the park, I did some stretches, I turned the music on my phone with my headphones, and I just went up down the sprint, and I got like a solid minute and a half before I had to stop and like lay on the grass and catch my breath, because I couldn't breathe. I genuinely thought I was gonna die. I was like, oh, Demi, you've done it this time. This time you really managed to like do something to yourself. But I was fine after a couple of minutes. I'm a little bit dramatic. So I went back home, walked back home, and got on the internet and started like looking up learning to run. And I found this really good program on the, what's it called? The Runkeeper app. It is like Learn to Run. And I started doing that. And over like course of a couple of months, like 3 months, I could like go out and have like a 30-minute run. So I used to just do that like every day, which looking back now is a lot of cardio. But I would do that every day, and I kind of built it up to that, to where like genuinely at a point I could run for 2 hours straight when I was like 21, 22. Yeah, 2 hours straight. And that was like all I was doing. So you can imagine. Yeah, so I was super lean. And then one day, my best friend, Melissa, shout out to Melissa, she was like, oh, I joined this gym. It's literally called The Gym. She's like, you should come with and just see what it's like. And I hadn't been to a gym in a while, and the last couple of times I had gone, like, it hadn't exactly been the most fun experience for me. But I went anyway because I was like, let me check it out, let's see what it's like. So I looked around, I liked it, so I joined. I did a few classes, like, try to hit a few machines, but I didn't really know what I was doing at that point. This was like, when was this? 2017? I think early 2016, actually. And then she was like, oh, while we were working out, because we were working out together, she was my workout partner, why don't we try using weights? And at first I was like, well, I don't know, because I really believe the hype that, if you work out with weights, especially as women, that you're gonna look off, which I mean, but it was a learning process. So I was resistant to it at first, and then I remember after that first day, like, she used the weights, I did it. I went home and I started looking through stuff online, especially on Instagram, just to get an idea of what I would even do if I wanted to try using weights. And I saw all these women doing it, and they looked amazing. I was like, that's kind of what I wanted to do. I want to do it. I want to look like that. So I went in and I did this little program I had seen somebody do on Instagram with weights, and I felt so good after. Like, there's something about lifting weights that just makes you feel like buff, so strong. And like, yeah, I had the whole thing where the next day I could barely move. My legs were sore, my arms were sore, all of me was screaming, but I still wanted to go back and do it again. Like, obviously I need to take a couple of days off to rest because I understood that it wasn't going to be just easy. I couldn't even get up and sit down. So everything was, even lying down was a problem. So I had to give myself a few days. I went back in, did it again, loved it. And then there was this whole process of me and her trying to figure out how it would work for us, around our schedule, how we could get to the gym, what we would do. So we set up this whole split where we would do lower body one day, upper body another day, and then like middle, so like core. And then in between that we would take classes, like really, and we did like some really heavyweight classes, I'm telling you, but just to kind of supplement all that at the time. And I kept going that. At that point I was still running. And one day I just sat down with it. I was like, this is so much, way too much for my body. Something's gotta give. So I decided, okay, I'll move it from every day to every other day. I did that for like a month, but it was still too much. My body was not feeling it. Like, to be honest, that much running, after a while, I was kind of losing interest in it. So I said, let me try every other day for an hour and see how that goes. And I haven't looked back since, because that hour is like the perfect time for me to end it, because at that point I'm still happy, so it works for me. It's actually more like an hour, a minute, and a second, exactly. Like, I don't know why, it's just something about seeing it like that on my phone, because I use my Fitbit app on my phone to track my runs. Something about seeing that just kind of worked for me, and it's still working. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I kind of stuck with the upper body, lower body, and core kind of split. That's what I do till today, even in pandemic. I mean, now it's home workouts, because what gym? I mean, even at this point, I don't even know about gyms. Like, I mean, like outside gyms. We've got a little section here where we kind of have equipment, and I'm looking to like get in a few more things and just work out from home permanently, because there was just something about having my own space to kind of do my own thing and not having other people like in it. That's really helping me keep going. I don't know, there was always something about going to gyms itself, having to wait for somebody to finish on the squat rack, and they're taking ages, seeing that you're waiting, but they're not that bothered, or rolling up to a machine to use it and they haven't wiped it down, and you can still clearly see the nastiness from their own session. Like, plus all the other stuff that just comes with being female in a gym, if we're being completely honest. Like, avoiding all that, like maybe one day after the pandemic is long gone, and I mean, like, it would have to be like, oh, 0 cases for a few months, I might rethink my stance and go back into proper ones. But right now this works for me, and so I'm gonna keep going with it and sharing it with you guys. Hopefully use it as a motivation, give you guys an idea of what I do if anybody's interested, if you're starting out, because it can be really confusing as a beginner wanting to get into it and knowing what to do. Like, the trial and error, even for me, was a lot, and it can really stop you. But what helped me keep going at the start was I had Melissa as a workout partner. So like, every time I would be like, I'm having a bad day, I'm not feeling it, she would be like, no, let's do it. Or if she was having that, then I could be that for her. And I found that really helped to keep me going to a point where now I can kind of do that for myself. So if I can be that for you guys, that would be great. And you guys can even be it for me, because as much as I say I do it for myself, I still have days where I'm just not feeling it. And I'm just like, why? But I still do it because I know afterwards it's gonna make me happy. Like those endorphins hit and you just have such a good time afterwards. Such a good day. So that's kind of a quick rundown of the lead up to right now. I will, like I said, I will put in some pictures as much as I can to kind of give you guys an idea of where I've started, where I've been, where I'm going. Like you're gonna see a lot of changes because through it all I was chubby, then super skinny, then I bulked out, then leaned back down. So you're gonna see a lot of different like ebbs and flows in the journey because that's how it goes. Like it's not a straight line. It's not, oh, I started here, this is where I'm going, and it's just gonna go straight. No, it's like bumps, but it's like every time you get down, you have to push yourself back into going. You know, if that's making sense, am I making sense? I hope I'm making sense. Anyway, honestly, the more time you spend with me, the easier it will be to understand like my way of speaking. Trust me. So yeah, let me show you guys actually what I look like now. I'm in this little Alphalete top. These are like actually two of my favorite activewear brands I'm wearing right now. Alphalete top and this like Gymshark, these shorts from Gymshark. Yeah, so oh yeah, that's the other thing that's gonna be on this channel. A lot of activewear. I'm kind of obsessed with leggings and shorts and tops. Just anything from any really cute activewear brand. But anyway, give me a second and I will show you what I look like now. So guys, this is me. Maybe a bit up more close. Just quick warning, face about to disappear. Okay, so this is me. Full outfit for today. Just home chilling. Side. Behind. Other side. And front. But yeah, this is video 1. Ooh, so exciting. I can't believe I finally did it, but I'm really pumped to see where it goes. Hopefully you guys come with me. Bye.